Subject pronouns. You can call them subject pronouns or just pronouns. It just implies that they're usually the subject of a sentence. So usually the subject of a sentence can be any noun, person, place, or thing. And so you can also have pronouns as subject of sentences because all we're doing is replacing a noun with a pronoun. So pronoun is a word that takes place of a noun. Okay. So in English, some of our pronouns are he, it, she, they, we, etc. So we're going to see them in English, and I'll show you how what happens to them in Spanish. So basically, pronoun is the subject or the person doing the action. That's why it's crucial to know about subject pronouns, because you can't do verbs if you don't know how to do subject pronouns. So all we're going to do today is focus on being solid on pronouns so we can apply the same knowledge of pronouns to verbs. So in the example, Bob is swimming. If you want to keep talking about Bob, 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 you're writing a whole paper about Bob, 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 Bob. You just replace Bob with he, the pronoun for Bob. Okay. I want you to notice the way that this chart is laid out. Singular on the left, plural on the right. It'll always be the way that we learn pronouns. If you learn them in the box this way, then it directly applies to what we're going to transfer over to verbs when we move over to verbs. So fancy grammar terminology tells you that the first person singular, first person on the singular side is I, second person singular is you, third person singular is he, she, or it, first person on the plural side, we, second person, plural, you, plural, third person, plural, they. In English, we just have the one you. In Spanish, there's different yous, and we're going to focus more on the yous here in just a second. But these are your subject pronouns in Spanish. Okay. The only thing that can be the first person singular that goes in the first spot on the singular side is I. Okay, so repeat. Yo.
Yo.
Tú. Tú is referring to you, and notice that there are several yous in Spanish, and we'll come back and talk more about them in just a second. But remember when we talked about greetings, or we were asking somebody's name, and I said there's a formal way to do it and an informal way to do it? This is where it starts all coming together, and you start understanding why that was the way that it was. When we asked somebody's name, or we asked how they were doing, we just said ¿Cómo está? Or ¿Cómo estás? Or we said ¿Cómo se llama? Or ¿Cómo te llamas? We didn't add these pronouns with it. Why not? Because the verb already tells you that the pronoun's included in there. So that's what we're getting to. But basically the question should have asked ¿Cómo estás usted? The one that has the S was always the informal one, right? Well, that gives us the clue that the tú is the informal you. Who do you use the informal version of things with? Friends, people that you know well, people that you're familiar with. So familiar and informal are both synonymous terms that you can use interchangeably. Okay. Third person singular, he, she, and implied it. We don't, obviously if we're talking about people, it's he, she. If we're talking about objects, then it would be it. The only thing we have to worry about in Spanish is that we have masculine plural for every noun. So if we have a masculine singular noun, it'll match up with the masculine singular pronoun. And it won't mean he, it will mean it instead. Does that make sense so far? Questions so far? Okay. So repeat él, ella, usted. Notice all three of those are under the third person singular box, and they should be there. That should give you a hint. Oh, there's way more options on the bottom than we have on top. We're going to use the bottom ones the most because you have more options for the bottom. Not to say that they're the only ones we're going to use. But the he, the word for he, you have to make sure that has a very super clear accent on it. If it doesn't have an accent, what does it look like? El, like that we just talked about. What is it? What did we just talk about? Right, the article el. What does the article el mean? the or the, okay? So if you put an accent, it's he. If you don't, if you forget the accent, it's a totally separate meaning. Okay? So if you're using you talking to one person, singular, informal, you use to. If you're talking to one person, you, singular, formally, people that you show respect to, then you use usted. If you remember when we did our greetings, we said como está or como está usted, and you saw UD period. That's just an abbreviation for it. So you can abbreviate usted by UD period, and then you see it on the plural side as well. Okay? That's if you're talking about one person, singular. If you're talking about plural people, then it basically goes across the chart. If I'm here by myself hanging out, but some people join me, some people and I would become we. So instead of saying some people and I, 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 you just replace the nouns, some people and I, with we. In Spanish, we just got to worry about the feminine we or the masculine we, since we got to worry about gender. So we have nosotros is the masculine we. Nosotras is the feminine. Well, what happens if you have guys and girls together? The rule always is go back to the masculine plural. Come on, there we go. You go to the masculine plural version of the word. Even if you have 1,000,000 girls and one guy, the one guy makes you go back to the masculine plural version. It's just the rule. Okay? So repeat, nosotros, and nosotras. Okay, so that's both words for we. Notice that this next section is a little bit grayed out on purpose. Okay, I'm going to tell you about it, and then I'm going to tell you why we're not going to use it. If two, you, informally, hanging out by yourself, if you get joined by some people, automatically you become plural. So vosotros and vosotras, in English we don't have a distinction, although in the South I guess we do. You being one person, you, versus you all. This is a true y'all. The lovely southern word that doesn't really exist, although I think it has been added to the dictionaries. You all is just you plural. So, thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. Thank you. So, you plural familiar is a true y'all, which you would use for you, a whole bunch of people, informally. I know you, y'all. Do you say y'all? I don't. But in English, some people say you all or you guys. That would be the more formal way of not just y'all, everybody. So, you, formal plural is ustedes, which can be abbreviated to be UDS period. Now notice some of our plural rules. Usted, what do we do to make it plural? Add an ES. What do we do to ella to make it plural? Add an S. End it in a vowel, end it in a consonant. So all these things that we've done, you should now start seeing making sense together. Okay? No, this one doesn't work. The el, if he is hanging out by himself, but then he gets joined by a whole bunch of more people and becomes plural, then it becomes ellos. Or, same thing up here, if you have a whole bunch of guys and girls that are apart from you, including you would be we, apart from you would be they. They, a whole bunch of girls, they, a whole bunch of guys, or mixed guys and girls. Okay. Let's go through each one individually. So I, only talking about yourself. You're going to see this verb that we're going to talk about. That's the first verb we're going to talk about, and I'm going to show you when we do our notes that the subject pronouns will be set up the same exact way that your verbs are. So you'll always see that you technically don't need your pronoun. You can always just do the verb because that's the only version of the verb that it can be. Just like when we did our greetings, the verbs are different because you're talking about different people. Okay? So I, in Spanish, does not need to be capitalized like we always capitalize I in English. And if you have mi amigo yo, my friend and I, my friend and I, my friend and I, my friend and I, if you want to replace it with a pronoun, what would you replace it with? We, which doesn't matter. Well, in this case, we can tell in Spanish that it's a female or male friend. Male friend. So it doesn't matter if it's a female I, male, one male makes you go back to the masculine plural. Okay. We don't have the rule in Spanish of I always coming second. So a lot of people say grammatically incorrect, either my friend and me or me and my friend. That's grammatically incorrect. I should always come second in English. In Spanish, there's no such rule. So you can say my friend and I, or I and my friend and me. Okay. Two is talking about somebody else other than you. And so somebody that you're familiar with, somebody that you can be informal with. And we'll talk more about all the yous together in just a second. El, talking about he, somebody apart from you, can only refer to the male gender, so only masculine. And a couple of examples there. If you're talking about Jorge, 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 just replace Jorge with the pronoun el. You don't have to keep saying the same nouns over and over. You just replace it with a pronoun. Okay. And don't forget your accent. Why is it crucial? Changes the whole entire meaning of the word. El with an accent, he. El without an accent, it's an article, the or the. Okay. Then ella, somebody feminine, only of the feminine gender, she. Couple of examples there. Again, if you're talking about Rosa, 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 replace Rosa with ella. Same thing. And careful. This is not umbrella, ella, ella, ella. This is ella. Remember when we did our alphabet? Double L sounds like a Y. Okay, so not ella, ella. Okay, say it right from the beginning. Usted. Usted, notice they had the little graphic there of somebody older, somebody that you're formal with. Okay, so somebody that you should show respect to, somebody that's older than you, etc. You can abbreviate it with UD period, and it's third person singular. So on the singular side, it is kind of bunched in with the he, she forms of the pronouns. Okay, and we'll talk more about all the separate U's in a second. Nosotros and nosotras are your words for we. Again, you're just distinction between masculine and feminine there. A whole bunch of friends and I becomes we. We went over that one. In English, again, we only have one. And a couple of examples. Now, if we're only talking about guys, then it's nosotros. If we're only talking about girls, nosotras. If we're talking about mixed gender, what's the rule? Masculine plural. Right, good. Okay. And ellos. So now, not including myself, I have to be included in a group for me to say we, right? What if I'm just talking about people apart from me? You're either going to use you all, you plural, or you're going to use they. They over there are maybe not listening to me. Okay? So they only for guys or for a mixed group of gender, boys and girls. Same as English. If you have two people that are males, you're going to use ellos. If you're going to have mixed gender, then you're going to use ellos as well. But if you have two girls, you're going to use ellas, which is the next slide. But same thing, double L sounds like a Y, so not ellos, ellos. Okay. Ellas, talking about just girls, can only be about girls. Same as, instead of saying Sofia Ana, then just ellas, and pronounce it with a double Y. Ustedes is the plural version of usted. It can be abbreviated as UDS, period. Third person on the plural side, so kind of bunched in with that last box. And we'll talk about all the U's. You, you, you. In English, we've got one word. In Spanish, you've got separate words, and I think it kind of makes more sense for you to have distinct words, either talking about one person, more than one person. And then we have to worry about the formal and informal aspect of Spanish that we don't have in English. Okay? So in English, we've only got one. In Spanish, you got to worry about singular, plural, number, feminine, masculine, gender, and then you've got to worry about formal and informal. So, vosotros or vosotras is the true y'all, the informal you plural. Okay. There's not really a super direct translation, but there's 5 different words for you in English. I'm sorry, in Spanish. You, 1 word, Spanish, 5 words. Repeat. Yo.
Yo.
I'm sorry. Totally did that wrong. Yo is only I. Words for you. Let's back it up. Tú. Usted. Vosotros. Vosotras. And ustedes. Okay? What's the difference between the first 2?
One's formal, one's informal.
Right? Are they singular or plural?
Singular.
Are the 3 bottom ones singular or plural?
Plural.
What's the difference?
Masculine.
Masculine, feminine, and vosotros, vosotras are informal. Ustedes is formal. Okay? So when do you use tú versus usted? Tú you use with somebody that you know well, somebody you're familiar with, so you're informal with them. Formal you use with people that are older than you, people that are higher positions than you. Basically, it's a respect thing. So there's actually different words to show respect. So we talked about formal, informal, and I want to make sure that you understand about the y'all part. Y'all is the true vosotros, the southern, I know you. I mean, everybody knows everybody in the South, right? Like, there's no, like, I don't know you. Everybody's just friendly. So, we do have vosotros and vosotras as the true y'all, but technically, since we have 2 plural you words, we are going to not use the vosotros and vosotras because they're primarily only used in Spain and Argentina too. So what we're going to do is we're going to just rule out, look, whenever we look at that box, we're going to cross it out. I want you to know that it exists. It's there. So don't not fill it in, but you won't be responsible for having to know the informal you plural version of y'all. We decided as a department that we're just going to, since basically in Latin America you can use ustedes for formal and informal, we're only going to use ustedes. We're not going to use vosotros or vosotras at all. So the true y'all, we're taking out. You're not responsible for that one. Okay? So we're just going to, basically the thinking or reasoning behind that is, if you use ustedes, you're using the formal version. You will always be safe using the formal version and not offending anybody than using the informal version and running the risk of offending somebody.
Why do they care so much?
It's a respect thing. It's a cultural thing. So it's just different. So here's how we have to learn it and put it in the box. You've got to know which one goes in what box. What goes in the first box?
Yo.
Only yo. Translation I. You, first person singular. Don't have to capitalize it unless it's the first word in a sentence. Only talking about yourself. One person, singular side. Okay? What if somebody joins me? Somebody and I. Then we just jumped over to the plural side. So on the plural side, we've got nosotros, nosotras, depending on gender, if you're a whole bunch of guys, girls, or a mixed group. I am included with other people. That's we. Okay? Then we've got tú. Tú is the informal you. Second person on the singular side, somebody that you're familiar with, so like a family member. And then we got vosotros, vosotras, that you would use if somebody joins you informally, then it becomes vosotros or vosotras. Plural you, the true y'all. Are we going to use that one? No. Do I want you to know that it exists? Yes. Okay. Then on the bottom where we have more options for the third person singular, we've got he, we've got she, and we've got you singular. What's the difference between the you on the bottom and the you in the middle? The two is informal, the usted down here, I have it out of order, usted is singular and formal. So they're all on the singular side, tú and usted, but informal, formal, and then él, only a guy, ella, only a girl. If somebody joins these one people, again, this is singular, automatically you go to the plural side. So A is a whole bunch of guys or a mixed group, A is a whole bunch of girls, and then if somebody joins USTED, U, formal, then it's the U formal plural. How do we get from the singular to the plural? Just added ES. So the plural rules works for some of them, obviously not for everything. Questions?